Right now, imagine you're home alone. The lights are on, the doors are locked, nothing has changed in the last 10 minutes. And yet, somewhere in the back of your mind, a small, insistent feeling arrives. Someone is watching you. You turn around. There's no one there. The real answer is far stranger than an overactive imagination. This feeling has a name, and it isn't new. It isn't modern anxiety or too much late night television or a trick of the mind invented by horror movies. It is one of the oldest alarm systems your brain owns. Older than language, older than fire, older than your species in its current form. To understand it, you have to go back to a much more dangerous version of the world. A world where being seen without seeing back could mean your last afternoon on Earth. Here's the strange part. Your eyes were never built only to look. They were built to be looked at. In the early 2000s, a team of researchers led by cognitive scientist Colin Clifford began studying something called gaze detection, the brain's specialized ability to notice when eyes are pointed at you. What they found was remarkable. Human vision contains dedicated neural circuitry tucked into a region called the superior temporal sulcus, whose entire job is to answer one question, instantly and below conscious awareness. Is something looking at me right now? This circuitry is fast, faster than almost anything else your visual system does. Why would evolution spend so much processing power on a single question? Because for your ancestors, the answer determined whether they lived through the next 5 seconds. Picture an early hominid crossing an open plain roughly 2 million years ago. A lion doesn't announce its presence. It doesn't roar from a distance and give you time to prepare. It watches, silently, from cover. And the single greatest predictor of an imminent attack wasn't the sound of movement or a shape in the grass. It was being looked at. Predators fixate. They lock onto prey with a stare before they commit to the chase. So a brain that could detect the faintest hint of being watched, even from the corner of an eye, even through foliage, even without confirming a full face, had a devastating advantage. That brain got to run first. This is where your peripheral vision comes in, and it's stranger than most people realize. Your peripheral vision is technically low resolution. It can't make out fine detail, color, or texture nearly as well as your central vision can. But it is exceptionally good at one specific thing: detecting motion, and detecting the particular symmetry of two dark shapes arranged like eyes. Researchers studying what's sometimes called the eye spot effect have found that humans, and many other animals, respond to simple pairs of dots arranged like eyes with a measurable spike in vigilance, even when consciously the person knows the dots aren't real eyes. Farmers have used this exact effect for centuries, painting eye-like patterns on livestock enclosures to deter predators, because the predator's own gaze detection circuitry reads the pattern as a face watching back. Your brain does the same thing, instinctively, constantly, in the background. That means the watched feeling you get isn't your imagination inventing a threat from nothing. It's an extraordinarily sensitive detection system triggering on a false positive. A coat on a chair, in dim light, at the wrong angle. A reflection. A shadow with a shape close enough to two eyes and a silhouette. Your ancestral alarm doesn't wait for certainty. It can't afford to. Here's the twist that almost nobody expects. This system isn't just about predators anymore. Over time, it fused with something else, something entirely social. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar has argued that human survival depended not just on avoiding animal predators, but on tracking the intentions of other people. Being watched by a rival, an outsider, or an untrustworthy member of your own group carried its own kind of danger, one measured in reputation, alliance, and exclusion, rather than teeth and claws. Your brain's gaze detection circuitry appears to have been repurposed, or at least heavily reinforced, to serve this second, social function. This is why the feeling of being watched isn't just a survival response, it's also a status response. A flicker of the same system that once scanned for lions now quietly scans for judgment. Think about the last time you felt eyes on you in a crowded room, a meeting, a photograph you didn't expect to be in. That prickling sensation on the back of your neck isn't separate from the ancient predator detection system. It's the same wiring, aimed at a different kind of threat. Neuroscientist and gaze perception researcher Natalie George has shown that the human brain processes direct eye contact differently and more urgently than almost any other visual stimulus, activating regions tied to threat evaluation within a fraction of a second, well before conscious recognition catches up. You feel watched before you know why. So why does the feeling sometimes strike when you are, provably, completely alone? Because your gaze detection system doesn't require an actual pair of eyes to fire. It requires only a pattern that resembles one closely enough, and a brain that has learned, across millions of years, that the cost of ignoring a false alarm is far lower than the cost of missing a real one. An empty house at night is full of accidental eye-shaped patterns. Two dark knots in a wooden door, a pair of shadows under a cabinet, the uneven gleam of two reflective surfaces across a dark room. Your ancient alarm doesn't know the difference between a predator's stare and a coincidence. It only knows the shape. What can you actually do with that knowledge? You can't switch the system off, and you probably wouldn't want to. It's not a flaw. It's a debt paid many times over by ancestors who survived because they trusted the feeling instead of ignoring it. But understanding the mechanism does something useful. It turns an eerie, unexplainable sensation into a recognizable pattern, a false positive from an ancient, overprotective guard that has never once been updated for a world of empty rooms, locked doors, and reflective glass. The next time that feeling arrives, the hair rising slightly, the urge to turn around, you're not imagining a threat out of nowhere. You're hearing from one of the oldest parts of yourself, the part that once kept a distant ancestor alive on an open plain, still standing watch long after the lions are gone, still scanning every shadow for the two dark shapes it was built to fear the most. You turn around, there's no one there. But now, at least, you know exactly who was asking the question.